So I mentioned earlier on and throughout the videos that there's a major theme in biology, which is this concept of there being a relationship between the form of something and the function of the same thing, right? So similar, if you see similar structures, we infer that they probably have similar functions, because it takes a lot of energy to produce a function in nature, right? None of this stuff is happening by itself on accident. All of our cells and our tissues and our organs and our organ systems, right, are working hard. They're working hard day in and day out to keep us alive. So if something has a particular structure, it's on purpose, and it's probably functional and related to its function. One classic example is the relationship between structures that have high surface area. Okay, we talked about surface area to volume ratios, right? And so the higher the surface area, the higher the volume can be within that that structure. Okay, so in this example here, we have a froggy with really lots of folds in the skin, right? And recall from Bio 22 that all of our amphibians are breathing through their skin. So the more folds you have, the more oxygen exchange can occur with the environment. The easier it is to breathe. And think about oxygen, right? And how important that molecule is in a lot of the metabolic pathways that we've talked about in the class. So a large surface area allows increased diffusion of oxygen across the folds of the skin. And this particular frog is from Lake Titicaca, which is a really fun word to say. Here's another example. Can you guys tell what this is a zoomed in cross section of? It's in the caption. Yeah, it's the small intestine, and these are the finger-like projections that that make up the small intestine, right? So they have a really high surface area to volume ratio, and that's important, right? Because think about what the role is of the small intestine. It is to absorb nutrients. This is a mouse brain stained with fluorescent marker. And look at the webbing, right? Look at all of the folds. Surface area is increased by that venation that you see throughout all of those neural cells. And then here is a beautiful shot of a moth, and you can see the antennae really well in this photo. Look how wide and long they are compared to, like, maybe, I don't know, the size of the brain of the animal, right? Like they're humongous antennae. So these moths, right? Remember back from Bio 22, right? These moths are using their antennae to detect chemicals in the air that are, and so if the medium is air, the higher the surface area to volume ratio, the better, so that more cells can come in contact with the medium, right? So all of these have functions related to transport, absorption, or detection of stimuli, and the high surface area is ideal for exchange of chemicals, nutrients, what else do we look at? Air, oxygen, with the environment, right? We talked about the surface area to volume ratio earlier when we were getting into why cells are only so big, right? But when you think about all of the functions that a cell has to do, the more, if they're all going to be doing the same thing, the more of them you have, the more of that task you can achieve. So having a high surface area to volume ratio allows for you to pack more cells into the same size. And for every cell you add, that's more work you can do. That's more air you can breathe. That's more pheromone you can detect. That's a more complicated puzzle you can solve with your brain, right? Because you have more cells doing all the work for you. Okay, and that's where we'll end.